Good evening, and thank you for attending tonight's virtual grocery store tour. My name is Tracey Luciani. I am the registered dietitian at the DeQuattro Cancer Center here in Manchester. I've been here for 5.5 years in that role, and I've been a dietitian for 30 years. I encourage plant-based eating to all of my patients. And one of my passions is assisting others to become healthier through diet and exercise. And tonight, my hope is to bring you newer, healthier food options and to inspire you to think out of the box. I think most people shop for the same foods, the same brands, cook the same meals week after week. And my hope is that this presentation will expand your horizons when it comes to nutrition.
Yep, my name is Sarabeth Campanelli. I'm a registered dietitian at ShopRite. I work for the ShopRites in Manchester, Vernon, and East Hartford, Connecticut. So each ShopRite is individually family owned. So I work for the Cohen family, and they own those 3 locations. So we have myself and our other dietitian. Her name is Lindsay Kent, and the 2 of us go between those 3 locations. I've been a dietitian since 2009. I've worked in a variety of settings, and I've been with ShopRite for 10 years. And I'm looking forward to this evening. Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Sarabeth. Just to give you an idea of what we'll be doing this evening, Sarabeth is going to start with going over some label reading skills. And then I will go into the individual products that we'll be featuring this evening. We're going to save questions until the end. I did a virtual grocery store tour 3 years ago. I think it was October of 2020 during COVID at ShopRite with Sarabeth. And I'm excited to bring you some of the newer products that are out on the market that I would endorse as a dietitian.
So my portion of this evening's program will be a very quick review about food label reading. I'm just going to go through pretty basic information about what we look for on the food label. It's very important to have a good understanding of food label reading. It can help you tremendously when you're in the grocery store and you're making decisions between different products and things. So it's very valuable information to know. I will let you know that myself and Lindsay, we work in all 3 of those locations, and we can help you on a one-on-one basis. Our nutrition services are free to customers. So if we go through any of this information, any information about food label reading, and you want to know more or more in depth, you can reach out to myself and come on into the store, and we can do a little bit more in-depth information for you, since tonight is very just the very kind of basics. Okay. So here we have our food label. I'm just noticing the slide got a little cut off on that orange piece, but that's okay. I will read to you what it says. So basically, the nutrition facts label first appeared in 1994, and it's regulated by the Food and Drug Administration, or the FDA. And the latest revision came in 2020 when they changed a few things, and for the better, in my opinion. So they had a reevaluation of serving size on a lot of items, and they made it more in line with portion sizes. So serving size and portion size are 2 different things. Portion size is how much you eat of something, and the serving size is what you find on the nutrition facts label. So they changed some of the serving sizes when they did the revision on certain products. For example, the serving size for ice cream went from 1/2 cup to 2/3 of a cup. The serving size for yogurt went from 8 ounces to 6 ounces. The serving size for a can of soup, it used to be for half the can, and now it's for the entire can. So they tried to make it easier for consumers based off of what we would normally eat. So the soup, for example, most people would eat the whole entire can and not realize they would have to multiply everything with the nutrition facts by 2. So they just changed it and made it the entire can to make it easier for consumers. They made the calories a little bit bigger. And one of the other big changes was they added a line for added sugar, which I'll get into in a moment. And they changed around some of the nutrients at the bottom. So right now we have vitamin D, calcium, iron, and potassium. But prior to the revisions, the vitamins were vitamin A, vitamin C, calcium, and iron. So they took away vitamin A and vitamin C and added vitamin D and potassium, because they found that those were kind of, the vitamins that people were looking to know information about on the food label versus those other vitamins. So you can go ahead to the next slide. So I talked briefly about serving size versus portion size. So basically, serving sizes are not recommendations for how much you should eat or drink. They are determined based on the amount of a food or drink people typically consume in one sitting. So I mentioned the can of soup, most people eat the entire can versus a half. So they changed the serving size to be more appropriate. So just keep that in mind too. If you're looking at a food item, the serving size doesn't necessarily mean that's the portion size recommendation. That's just giving you the information on what the product is. So we would know for this product, we have whatever it is, let's say it's beans or something. The serving size is 1 cup. So for 1 cup of beans, all of the information below is for that 1 cup of beans. If you were to have 2 cups of beans, you would have to multiply everything by 2. So that's basically kind of the difference between the serving size and portion size. And then I'm just going to kind of go down one piece at a time. So calories was in red, and those that they just made that bigger and easier for people to see. And then for total fat, we have 4 types of fat that we want to be aware of. We basically have our saturated fat and our trans fat, which are considered like our bad fats, and those we want less of. And then we have our mono unsaturated and poly unsaturated fats. And those are our good fats, and those we want more of in our diet. So when you're looking at the food label, total fat is for all 4 of those types of fat. So for this food label, we have total fat is 9. Our saturated fat is 4.5. Our trans fat is 0. So if you do the math, you know that the rest of that fat, the other 4.5 grams that's not listed on there, is you can assume that's coming from a good fat source. So sometimes you'll see on the food label all 4 fats listed out. Sometimes they have it, but it's not required for them to have the unsaturated fats on there. It's only required that they have total fat, saturated fat, and trans fat. So you just have to kind of keep in mind that if there's more fat, the total fat is higher than the saturated fat and the sum of the saturated fat and trans fat, you can assume it's coming from a good fat source, which is a good thing. You can go to the next one. The next one I wanted to point out is sodium. So our total fat was in grams. Our sodium is going to be in milligrams. And again, this is just something we want to keep an eye out for on a lot of our products. Sodium is something that can kind of creep up on us in a lot of different things without realizing it. So just being aware of sodium, meaning the salt, and how much is in the product. And then being aware of how much kind of the recommendation is. So just really quickly in general, the recommendation for sodium is 2,300 milligrams a day. If you have any sort of heart-related condition, then that sodium daily sodium amount gets a little more restrictive, and you're looking at between 1,500 to 2,000 milligrams per day as the recommendation. So if you kind of keep those numbers in mind, when you're looking at different products, you can get a good idea for whether something has a large amount of sodium in it or not. But definitely something to keep an eye out for, because as I mentioned, it can kind of sneak into products you may not realize, and it can add up quickly throughout the day. And then our next sort of chunk is our carbohydrates. So carbohydrates are made up of fiber and sugars. So if you are a diabetic and you are watching your blood sugar, then total carbohydrate, that line and that gram amount is very important. Of course, fiber is important for everybody. So the fiber recommendation per day for women is 25 grams. For men, it jumps up to 38 grams. So again, just knowing some of these numbers and looking at your food label can give you an idea for whether something has a good amount of fiber in it or not. We don't want to be buying products that are loaded with fiber. That's not necessary. We just want to make sure we're getting a few grams of fiber throughout the day with all of our meals and snacks. So this item has 4 grams of fiber in it. That's awesome. And again, something very useful to be looking at on the label. And then we have sugars. And so this new line that came out in 2020 is this added sugar line. So this is important because there are recommendations for how much added sugar you should have in a day. So for women, it's 25 grams a day or less, which is 6 teaspoons. For men, it's going to be 36 grams a day or less, and that's 9 teaspoons. So again, just knowing those numbers, if you pick something up and it has, 20 grams of added sugar in it, and you're a woman and your kind of recommendation for the day is 25 grams, then whatever that product is, that there's quite a bit of added sugar in it. So you might want to just know those numbers, keep that in mind, and plan your day accordingly. And then another one to keep an eye out for is protein. Of course, protein is very important. So just knowing that protein is going to always be listed on the food label, and keeping an eye out for that as well. And then I think the next slide, we go into our those nutrients. So I had mentioned that they did a little change up with the new label. So now we have vitamin D and potassium added in. So again, just if those are vitamins and minerals that you need to be aware of, they're right there on the food label for you, and you can kind of see how much each product has. And then the last slide. So I also just wanted to mention the percent daily value column. So I do get a lot of questions about this column and kind of how to use it and what it means. So basically, the percent daily value is based off of a 2,000 calorie per day diet. And as an individual, you may need more or less calories than this. So just keep in mind that not everybody needs 2,000 calories. So basically, when I teach people about the label, I tell them to use the daily value percentages as a guide. So if something has 5% or less percent daily value, so whatever that nutrient is, it's pretty low in whatever it is. So for example, our added sugar is 0%. So we know that whatever this product is, it's pretty low in added sugar. There isn't any. If something has 15%, 20% and above percent daily value, then you kind of know that whatever product is, whatever that nutrient is, it has a little bit more. So you kind of can use the percent daily values as a guide when you're kind of looking over the whole thing. So it's a good tool to use. I would encourage you to use the everything else that I discussed too, with knowing how many kind of grams of added sugar you should have each day, and grams of fiber and sodium and all those milligrams of sodium and all those things as well. I think those are important to know. But in case you were wondering kind of how percent daily value works.
I will start by saying there are two brands within the ShopRite family of products, one of which is Bowl and Basket. This is a premium product line with great price points. And then the Wholesome Pantry line, typically free of artificials, additives, overpricing, and there are organic options within the line. So the first food that we're going to talk about is Bada Bean, Bada Boom, broad bean snacks. Say that 6 times fast. I recently had the pleasure of trying the ranch flavor. These are a gluten-free snack, and they are found near the seafood department in the ShopRite. They are made from broad beans, which are a member of the legume family. As I mentioned earlier, I encourage my patients to incorporate more plants in their diet. So as part of tonight's talk, I wanted to discuss some snacks that were healthier options. These broad beans are also known as fava beans, and besides being a great source of protein and carbohydrate, they're a good source of vitamin A, vitamin B1, B2. So again, gluten-free, vegan, which means no eggs, no dairy, and a plant-based protein. There's a variety of flavors. They come in buffalo, sea salt, sweet sriracha, barbecue, sweet cinnamon. The Manchester store does carry barbecue. Other ShopRites carry this product. I know you can order these online through Amazon or Walmart.com. A 4.5 ounce bag is $3.99. Like I said, I tried the ranch. They were very good. And like Sarah talked about, one of the things that I look for in a snack, besides the calories, is some form of protein and a good source of fiber too. Oftentimes people are snacking, they're eating empty calories that are not satisfying, they're not providing any nutritional benefit. These are a great snack. They have 4 times the amount of protein, 5 times the amount of fiber, and only 1/3 of the fat of a potato chip. So that's our first snack. Our second actually is one of my favorites that I'll be talking about tonight. My future daughter-in-law introduced me to this brand, Mary's Gone Crackers. They are also in the gluten-free section near the seafood department. They are a crunchy, delicious cracker. They come in a variety of flavors. There's herb, there's original flavor, rosemary, olive oil, and black pepper, sea salt. They have a super seed variety that comes in a plain and everything variety as well. Again, gluten-free, plant-based protein. Love the ingredients here. Just brown rice, quinoa, flax seeds, sesame seeds, and tamari or soy. There's no added seed oils. And we'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. So these can be a little bit pricier than what you normally pay for a cracker. You can see here they're $4.99 on sale, regularly $6.49 for a 6.5 ounce box. 12 crackers is in a serving size here, and that provides 140 calories, 4 grams of protein, 3 grams of fiber. Again, talking about that protein and fiber, so you're looking at a snack that will satiate you and fill you up. No added sugar, with 170 to 180 milligrams of sodium. 12 crackers in a serving, maybe you only need half of that. I would think a comparable cracker to this Mary's Gone Crackers in terms of nutrition would be a Triscuit Original 100% whole grain. The ingredients are basically whole grain wheat, canola oil, and sea salt, 3 grams of protein, 3 grams of fiber, 120 calories, compared to, say, a premium Nabisco saltine cracker that has no fiber and 2 grams of protein for the same serving size. So again, one of the things I encourage people is to read labels, patients to read the labels, to see that they are getting some nutritional benefit and just not empty calories and no added nutrition. Mary's Gone Crackers also makes a cookie, Mary's Gone Cookies with a K. This product actually has a lot of oils and some sugars added to it. One of my patients bought a box, wasn't a big fan. She brought them into me. I thought they tasted pretty good. They weren't real sweet, which I liked. But again, the ingredients I wasn't as much of a fan for, but the crackers definitely. Seed oils, I will mention, are one of the things that a lot of people now, it's a big buzzword when it comes to nutrition. And seed oils are a type of vegetable oil derived specifically from the seeds of plants. Sunflower oil, cottonseed oil, safflower oil, grapeseed oil are some of the seed oils that have the highest percentage of linoleic acid, which is a type of omega-6 fatty acid, which really is not considered to be very healthy. Higher omega-6 intake from industrial seed oils consistently increases the risk of many chronic Western diseases like heart disease and diabetes, and there's a lot of talk that it causes inflammation. It is important to note that canola oil actually is a seed oil. It's 21% linoleic acid compared to, say, 66% linoleic from sunflower oil. So animal studies suggest that it causes inflammation, harms our memory and our heart, but there's much evidence to say that it's beneficial to humans. So the canola oil info is really conflicting and inconsistent. I would say canola is probably one of the healthier seed oils. Nut butters are a great way to incorporate plant-based protein. One of the things that I do share with all of my patients is that processed meats like deli meats, bacon, sausage, kielbasa, hot dogs, red meats, which includes beef, pork, and lamb, is not as good for us as many of the other alternative protein sources like poultry, and certainly things like nuts and seeds and legumes and lentils. So nut butters are a great way to meet your protein requirements. Unfortunately, many brands do contain added sugars, added seed oils, and I discourage people from consuming those. Some of the better brands that are out there, and these are all available at ShopRite. The first one here you'll see is called Crazy Richards. It's 100% peanuts. They also make an almond butter. This particular is 16 ounces for $3.49. Most nut butters have around 190 calories per 2 tablespoons. I encourage people to actually measure out their nut butters. It's very easy to underestimate how much you're using and go overboard. And because they are a good source of fat, they are calorically dense. But Crazy Richards is really just the nut and a little bit of salt. So it's a great source of fiber, a great source of protein. Aisle 11 in ShopRite. The second nut butter that I'd like to feature is Teddy All Natural. They make an all natural smooth peanut butter with no added oils. And 2 tablespoons, the same caloric profile, 190 calories, 3 grams of fiber, 8 grams of protein. Again, just dry roasted peanuts and salt. $3.99, aisle 11. This is Smucker's, I believe. Yeah, Smucker's natural peanut butter. They make a creamy variety. They make a chunky variety. They also make a natural creamy with no added salt. So as Sarabeth mentioned, there are some patients due to cardiac restrictions, they really have to limit their salt intake. So this no added salt nut butter is a great alternative. And you are going to pay more for these nut butters. There's no question, ounce for ounce. Versus, a Skippy or a Jif, most of those, again, have the syrups and sugars and seed oils added to them. But it's worth it. I know the ShopRite in Cromwell, you can make your own nut butter. They have options to make your own peanut butter, your own honey roasted peanut, cashew, and almond butters. And I took advantage of that a couple weeks ago when I was preparing for this, and the peanut butter was delicious. This is a snack that is not available at ShopRite. I happened to pick this up at, I don't know if it was TJ Maxx or Marshall. which I frequent, but I know these are available on Amazon. These are a caramel chocolate peanut butter. They come in a nice plastic container. They are a vegan option, meaning, again, plant-based and no eggs, no dairy. The first ingredient on this is dates. Dates are often used as a natural sweetener. If you've attended any of my previous seminars, I referenced Dr. Michael Greger, who has a date syrup recipe that you can make. I know Trader Joe's and plenty of other stores now make date syrups that you can purchase already made. And you can be used in recipes. You can use them in your hot cereals, your tea, and, as a sweetener instead of using sugar or some of the artificial sweeteners that the jury is out on. So this particular snack is made with dates, peanuts, cocoa, coconut, and cashews. And just one of the balls, it's 55 calories and 1.5 grams of fiber and 1.5 grams of protein. I actually leave this in the back of my car. And if I get hungry in between errands or, right after the gym, it's easy. It keeps well, especially in the colder months. And it's a tasty little snack. This particular container was $3.99 at TJ Maxx or Marshall's. So I will preface this slide by saying that I always encourage patients to eat fresh fruit and fresh vegetables or frozen over, candy or whatnot. But this is a really neat snack. I tried the pineapple coconut myself. Each stick of this solely fruit jerky contains only one ingredient, and that is the fruit that it contains. So the pineapple coconut that you see there is the actual contents of a half of an organic pineapple and nothing else. So there's no sulfites, there's no additives, there's no added sugars. There's 80 calories in one of these strips. There's 2 grams of fiber and no added sugar. One strip is 169, as you can see here. And as I mentioned, earlier, convenience is a big thing, having these things handy so that if you're out running errands, you're leaving work, you want something so that you're not going to pick once you get home before dinner, you can take this anywhere. And if you have a sweet tooth, this is a great way to be able to crave that. Again, pineapple coconut was really good. It is in the gluten-free section of ShopRite's, not in the Manchester location, but available in other ShopRite locations. So I highly recommend this product. And I'm assuming that would sometimes go on sale because that $169 was the regular price. Next are these banana chews. I tried the organic plain banana one that you see on the right there. It was on sale for $3.49. They normally are $4.99. I thought they were good. I didn't think they were awesome. They also make a dark chocolate banana chew. Again, if you're looking at ways to satisfy your sweet tooth, I think this is a good option instead of eating candy. And I know all of us, can tend to have a sweet tooth, especially after dinner at night. So again, convenient. You can keep this in your car. You can keep it in your desk at work. Certainly a good option. 4 grams of fiber per serving. And it comes in coconut, mango, dark chocolate, peanut butter, and peanut butter cup. So obviously with the dark chocolate, peanut butter, and peanut butter cup varieties, you are going to have a little bit of added sugar to that, but far better and more nutritional than, again, eating some candy.
That company is actually called Barnana.
Okay.
And their whole concept was they take bananas that are about ready to go, that they're browned and stuff, and they repurpose them into these snacks.
Nice.
So they're very good. And I will say the chocolate ones are very good.
Yeah, they're awesome. It can go through the bag quite quickly. Hippies. These have been around for a while, but I thought they were worth featuring tonight. I think they taste pretty good. Chickpeas and lentils and legumes are often used in foods now as a protein alternative. I tried the Nacho Vibes variety, which you do not see here. This is a gluten-free snack. It's got no high fructose corn syrup in it. It is considered vegan. Of note, it does have a little bit of sunflower oil in it. but not much. The fat content is about 7 grams per serving. So again, I think it's a healthier option than eating a potato chip or a Dorito. Less than 1 gram of added sugar in most of the varieties. And these are in aisle 10. And I believe you can buy them. Yep, this slide actually shows you can buy them in individual 100 calorie packs, or you can buy them, like I got a 1.5 ounce bag, and I think they make 4 ounce bags as well. So lots of different options. So again, if you're looking for something that's got a little bit of salt, a little bit of crunch, and something that's going to be healthier than Cheetos or Doritos, this is a good option. So yogurt is one of those things that many people eat. And unfortunately, a lot of yogurts have a lot of sugar in them. And, and part of what I do in dealing with patients who are undergoing treatment for cancer, protein is one of the things that we encourage. It's pretty benign, it's soft, so it's generally tolerated when people are going through treatment. So whether they like it for breakfast, as a snack, or even a meal, it's a great option. But again, it's got a lot of sugar. This particular page was taken out of the Nutrition Action newsletter, which is a publication that's put out by the Center for Science and the Public Interest. It's been around for decades. When I first became a dietitian, I subscribed to it. I stopped subscribing years ago, but one of my patients brought in the recent publication from September, October. Every month, they have plenty of articles in a wide range of topics, but they always feature a certain food group, and they go into detail highlighting some of the healthiest options that are out there on the market. I know in the past they've done frozen dinners, they've done canned soups. This month, as I mentioned, they featured yogurt. So I wanted to share this with you. They break it down into best bites. So the items given 2 check marks in the left margins are given that have 2 check marks, have no added sugar, and an honorable mention, which is 1 check mark, can have up to 8 grams, which actually is considered pretty low because some yogurts have 30 or more grams of added sugar in them. And in addition to that, they have no alternate sugar substitutes. So as you can see, they break it down into dairy and dairy-free. So a lot of people say they're lactose intolerant, so there are plenty of dairy-free options now in yogurts. They have soy, coconut, almond, and oat. And if you look here in the dairy section, obviously doing a plain yogurt is going to be your best bet if you're trying to manage your sugar. There's a lot of reasons to limit our sugar. Diabetics, certainly, that's always the goal. And as you can see in the plain Greek section here, there are many that scored in the best bites category. There's Light and Fit, Fage, Oikos, Stonyfield. There's plenty listed there for plain Greek. Plain regular, the Greek Gods non-fat, Dannon non-fat, Stonyfield, Dannon low-fat. There's plenty there too. So lots of good options there. As far as flavored Greek yogurts, Oikos scored very high. The Oikos Pro, the Oikos 000 Greek, Chobani 0 sugar, and Light and Fit 0 sugar. Too Good is also a yogurt that I often encourage my patients to try. It tastes really good. And then Siggy's, the lower sugar variety, scored well, as you can see. As far as dairy-free, the plain yogurts that scored well were the Silk brand. So the Silk Soy, the Silk Almond Milk Unsweetened Vanilla, and the Silk Almond Milk Plain. None of the dairy-free flavored yogurts met the criteria for a best bite or an honorable mention. So if you're shopping for yogurt and want to do the healthiest thing possible, take this list along and follow it. So on to sides. Oftentimes I feel people, they cook pasta as a side, they'll do plain rice, they'll do potatoes, and there's so many different options now of whole grains that offer a lot of versatility. The first one that we'll talk about is a wholesome pantry item, and it's a quinoa tricolor. You can see it right here. It's $3.99 for a 12-ounce bag. A bag goes a long way. Quinoa is like rice. It expands when it's cooked. It's a type of edible seed that comes in a variety of colors. And besides providing good amounts of fiber and protein, it also has folate, magnesium, zinc, iron, flavonoids, which have powerful antioxidant and anti-inflammatory effects. So as you can see, lot of health benefits here. 3/4 of a cup of cooked quinoa has 170 calories, 7 grams of protein. Again, it's a plant-based protein, no sugar, no salt, and 6 grams of fiber. So it's very versatile, as I mentioned. It is gluten-free. You can make a savory quinoa vegetable salad. So quinoa plus a variety of vegetables with feta cheese and or grilled chicken can make a great meal or a great salad. You could use it at breakfast as a porridge with coconut milk, fresh fruit, walnuts, cinnamon, and a drizzle of honey. So lots of possibilities with quinoa. And I encourage you to try it if you haven't. Wholesome Pantry also makes a variety of plant-based pastas. The benefits of eating these plant-based pastas, so you'll see red lentil and chickpea, is that these pastas are typically lower in calories, they're lower in carbs, they're higher in protein and higher in fiber. So a great alternative, especially for people who are trying to manage their blood sugars if they're diabetic. The red lentil pasta, an 8-ounce box, is $2.99. It also comes in spaghetti form. And the chickpea penne pasta that you see here is $2.99 for 8 ounces as well. And when it's cooked, it has 12 grams of protein, 8 grams of fiber, and a 1.5 cup cooked portion size. So if we're comparing a plain, say, ronzoni pasta to a red lentil or a chickpea, ronzoni would have only 2 grams of fiber versus the 6 or 8 in these two pastas, and only 7 grams of protein versus the 12 and 14 in these two pastas. So there really is some benefit to switching to a plant-based pasta. And try different varieties. I know Trader Joe's makes a great red lentil pasta that tastes really good. Again, if you haven't tried it, I would encourage you to do so. Banza comes in an orange box. They make chickpea products as well. They do pastas, rice, pizza shells, and pre-made pizzas made in the frozen food section. And those are pretty popular. They've been out for a while now. And I know Banza is available at ShopRite. Is that correct, Sarabeth?
Yes.
Bill, okay. Farro is another great whole grain alternative. It is not gluten-free. I will note that. That is in aisle 16 of the ShopRite stores. It is similar in appearance to barley, although slightly larger and more oblong. Like barley, it is chewy in texture. 3/4 of a cup cooked, offers 6 grams of protein, 5 grams of fiber. You can use it in soups, salads, and breakfast dishes. And actually, one of the recipes that I have at the end of our show that you can print off is a maple farro breakfast cereal. And that is really good. I've made that myself. You mix it with honey and whatever milk you'd like, some fresh fruit. So healthy alternative, or if you want to try something other than oatmeal or cream of wheat. Right rice is another rice alternative. It is available in aisle 16 at ShopRite. It comes in a variety of flavors: brown butter sage, cilantro lime, Mediterranean. The Manchester store has lemon pepper, original, Spanish, and garlic herb available. It is made with lentils, chickpeas, rice flours. It's got a little bit of sea salt in it. It does have some sunflower oil, although not much. It only has 2 grams of fat, none of which are saturated, in a portion size. There's 10 grams of protein in a serving and 6 grams of fiber. Besides ShopRite, you can get this at Amazon. They sell it in box packages of three 7-ounce containers. Each one of these packets is $4.49, and I believe that would go on sale too if you wanted to try that. They also make a risotto. Ooh, that risotto is actually to the right there. 1/3 of a cup offers 1/3 of a cup dry or 3/4 of a cup cooked, has 11 grams of protein, 6 grams of fiber, again, only 2 grams of fat. Sodium is minimal in these rice dishes, which is really nice. If you look at rice-a-roni to compare, 890 milligrams of sodium in a serving. And if you're thinking about that 2,300 that Sarabeth talked about, is really high. The right rice risottos have only 150 milligrams of salt or 220 milligrams. So much less compared to the 890 in rice-a-roni. So again, a gluten-free option, great way to get protein from a plant-based source. With winter upon us, the availability of fresh vegetables is less likely. They're going to be more expensive. Bowl and Basket line at ShopRite offers a wide variety of nutritious vegetables, asparagus, spinach, kale, and broccoli, to name a few. You can get them frozen, you can steam them, and they're sold steam in a bag. You can cook them in a microwave. They're so convenient. They have a longer shelf life. They're available all year long. They're convenient. And most importantly, they're affordable. They range in price anywhere from $1.39 a bag to $3.99. And they also have rice and vegetable mixtures available. They do a riced cauliflower. A lot of people use riced cauliflower now in place of a starch because it has less carbohydrates, less calories. There's also a baby red and yellow potato mixture. They have an edamame mix, which edamame are soybeans, and that's another plant-based protein. Great way to get your protein. In 3/4 of a cup of edamame, you would get 11 grams of protein and 4 grams of fiber, and that's $2.39 for a 12-ounce bag. Again, great snack. Can pop them out of the shells. I believe they come unshelled too, but great snack, great to put on your salads. Again, great way to beef up the protein content. And important to note, frozen vegetables are usually frozen immediately after harvesting, so they generally retain many of their nutrients. So freezing, buying a frozen vegetable doesn't mean you're going to lose out on nutrition. As Sarabeth mentioned, I'll just touch on fiber again. As a country, we are fiber deficient. Research suggests that Americans get only between 10 and 15 grams a day. Women need closer to 25 and men 38. Fiber is so important in reducing risk of developing various conditions like diabetes and heart disease, diverticular disease, constipation, and colon cancer. So just as often as I talk about decreasing meat intake with patients, I stress the importance of increasing fiber. I'm always shocked at how many people do not eat fruits or vegetables on a daily basis. So best sources of fiber, berries. We know that raspberries, blackberries, and blueberries are the healthiest fruits you can consume. They're also a great source of fiber. 1 cup of raspberries has 8 grams of fiber. Blackberries have 7.6 grams in a cup. And I encourage patients to, if they're looking to increase their fiber, doing a high fiber cereal in the morning is a great way to get a jump start on your fiber. Trader Joe's makes a great high fiber cereal. And just 2/3 of a cup of that, there's 9 grams of fiber and only 3 added sugars, compared to, say, Raisin Bran that has 9 grams of added sugars and less fiber, 7 grams per serving. So again, reading labels is important. Besides the fruit and the fiber, popcorn, 3 cups of cooked popcorn offers 5.8 grams. That's a great snack. I encourage you to look at the portion size. Again, 3 cups is not a lot. So, measuring that out is important. Lentils and legumes, 4.3 grams in a 1/2 cup serving, and then pumpkin seeds, 1 ounce, 5.2 grams. On to veggie burgers. ShopRite offers these wholesome pantry veggie burgers, which I've tried the mushroom and cheese variety. They make a California, they make a sweet and spicy, they make a chipotle. In a 10-ounce container that has 4 baked veggie patties. There is 150 calories per serving, 2 grams of fiber, 6 grams of protein, and less than 6 grams of fat, less than 2 is saturated. So it's $3.69, and that comes out to just 93 cents per veggie burger. So you can do that as a side. You could do it as an open face on a slice of multigrain bread, or put it on top of a salad. It's a great protein source, and they taste really good too. Very convenient, easy to make too. Healthy choice. So frozen dinners, oftentimes people will bring frozen dinners or frozen meals for lunch. They'll have them for dinner, and there are some that are healthier than others. Healthy Choice happens to offer some of the healthier alternatives in terms of sodium content, in terms of fat content. One of my favorites is the Healthy Choice vegan green goddess bowl. I had it for the first time a couple weeks ago, again in preparation for this. $3.29 on sale, regularly $4.29. It is made with edamame, lentils, broccoli, asparagus, zucchini, a blend of Swiss chard, kale, and spinach. So some of the healthiest greens. We know that cooked kale is the healthiest of the vegetables. This dish also has brown and red rice, red quinoa, black barley, green sesame tahini, and pepitas or pumpkin seeds. So 330 calories in that green goddess bowl with 510 milligrams of salt. It's really hard to find dinners that have less than 600 milligrams. So if you find one with 510, you're doing well. Only 3 grams of added sugars and 12 grams of fiber. So this was really good. Some of the reviews online of the vegan green goddess bowl were that it was dry. I didn't find it to be so, but if you did, you could add some lemon, a little bit of pesto, or maybe some fresh tomatoes to it. Another one is this Greek style chicken bowl, which is 170 calories, 590 grams of sodium, 1 added sugar, and 3 grams of fiber. The brands that I tell patients to be on alert for are Marie Callender's and Stouffer's. Those seem to be the ones that have the most fat, the most salt, the most added sugars, and really the most calories. Even some of the Amy's Organics products, which, you know, with the name organic, you would think it would be healthy, but some of them have high amounts of salt, fat, and even a lot of those seed oils that we talk about. So again, if you know those are some of your favorite products, I highly recommend that you read labels. And on the same screen, you see there's a Healthy Choice Max Protein Bowl. This one has olive oil. It has less than 2% canola oil, 430 calories, 500 milligrams of sodium, 12 grams of fiber. Ingredients are chicken, mozzarella, vegetables, and a nice grain blend of brown rice, quinoa, and black barley. So again, within these lines, I think there are some healthier options than others, and it's just reading labels. That's important. This is in aisle 21, so obviously this is in the frozen food section. When I started preparing this talk months ago, Sarabeth had emailed me a bunch of products that I should be on the lookout for. One of the products was the Tattooed Chef frozen meals, and I've since learned that the company has gone bankrupt. Unfortunately, I did see that some of the products were still in the stores. I'm sure, you know, the expiration dates were still good. It looks like some of their bowls, like their Buddha bowl, the veggie hemp bowl, and the plant-based burrito bowl, had really good nutrition profiles. I'm sorry to see that they're going out of business, but if you see, maybe be able to find a good deal on some of these products. Veggies made great. So oftentimes people come in and they'll say, you know, I'm not a breakfast eater. I never have been. And there's so much evidence to support that eating breakfast is so important for so many reasons. You know, studies have shown that people who do eat breakfast are at a healthier weight. People who don't eat breakfast tend to eat more calories during, you know, closer to the end of the day, which is not advantageous. So even something like this, Veggies Made Great, you can see they make veggie cakes. They make a spinach egg white frittata. They taste really good. They offer protein. They offer a little bit of fiber. They're very convenient. You can pop them in the microwave. You know, it's better than skipping out on breakfast or eating some sort of breakfast sandwich, you know, from a fast food place that has bacon or sausage and a lot of sodium in it. So these are $6.49, and I believe they're in aisle 22. They're a frozen food item. We're upon soup season, and many people eat soup in the winter and the fall months, even in the summer. And so many soups contain so much sodium, which is concerning. And even, you know, if you don't have a heart condition, you still want to try to manage that for obvious reasons. Tabachnik is a brand that has been around for many years. And as you can see, the blue, I believe it's, yes, the blue varieties here. You see the Tuscany lentil. They also make a low salt minestrone soup. They make a low sodium vegetable. They make a low sodium barley mushroom. Those soups only have between 55 and 70 milligrams of sodium, which is extremely low. So as you can see to the left there, Tabachnik also makes regular soups that have a lot, you know, much more sodium in them. But this is a nice variety for people who are on cardiac restrictions. They're sold in a cryovac pack. You can either pop them open and cook them on a stovetop, or you can cook them in the microwave. They're $3.49 for 2 pouches, which comes out to $1.75 per serving. So these have been around a long time, and I recommend, if you are trying to watch your salt intake, that you consider that product. And a couple of the last things I wanted to talk about were some beverages that are out on the market that I would give my blessing to. There's so many beverages now that are out that have artificial sweeteners, which are frowned upon, lots of added sugars, and a lot of people don't hydrate well enough, and a lot of people don't like the taste of plain water. So Hint is a product that I really like the taste of. It comes in a variety of flavors. It's available in aisle 13 of ShopRite, and it's got no salt. It's got no sugar added to it. It really is simply just purified water and natural flavors. It comes in a variety of flavors: watermelon, raspberry, strawberry, kiwi, and black cherry. And you can get 4 of these bottles for $5 when it's on sale at ShopRite. Each bottle is 16 ounces, and it really does taste good. And if you're not a great water drinker and you're looking at ways to increase your fluid intake without the artificial sweeteners, this is a great option. And the last product that I'm featuring tonight is a seltzer or a sparkling water. This comes in a variety of flavors. Again, no added sugars. It's unsweetened. This is not available in the Manchester store, but it is available in other locations. And I know it's available at Stop and Shop and Target. It's typically sold in a box of 8 cans. Each can is 12 ounces, and it's $6.99, actually $6.59 you see here. Essentially, it's just carbonated water and natural juices. There's only 17 calories per serving. And this is a great option for those people who like seltzer waters, you know, a little bit of bubble or carbonation, and it's a healthy option. So the last thing I wanted to share, I always like to end my discussions with some recommendations for books and podcasts and reliable nutrition information for you. Michael Greger is the name of a physician who is he's the founder of nutritionfacts.org. He's actually a doctor whose grandmother was 61 years old. She was given a terminal diagnosis of heart disease, and she went on to live 31 years after subscribing to a plant-based diet. At the time, the Pritikin diet was popular, and as a physician, he said, there's got to be something we can do. She went on to live an additional 31 years. She walked, she ate solely plant-based. So he has made it his life's mission to get his word across. Again, he's the founder of nutritionfacts.org. He does daily blogs and videos of evidence-based health and nutrition topics. things that range anywhere from dental health to sleep to exercise to vitamins. He's a very interesting guy, and I would, if you're looking at obtaining some sources of good evidence-based nutrition, I would highly recommend you looking into him. His books are available at the library. I know they're available at the Manchester Library. He has written the book, How Not to Die Cookbook, How Not to Diet Cookbook, and he just published a book called How Not to Age, which dives into the top peer-reviewed anti-aging medical research and lays out practical strategies for achieving ultimate longevity. So really, a lot of his things are, exercise, getting good sleep, subscribing to a plant-based diet. So he's a great guy to look into. Then we talked briefly about the Nutrition Action newsletter. A 1-year subscription to that is $34.99. That offers a lot of great nutrition recommendations, and that may be available in the library as well. I'm not sure about that. One of my patients came to me a couple months ago and recommended a website called Cookie and Kate. It's Cookie, Cookie, and Kate, Kate, which is a food blog that celebrates whole foods with fresh vegetarian recipes. I've actually posted a lot of I try to post a recipe each week for the patients at the Cancer Center, and I've featured a few of her recipes. The patient who recommended this website said each recipe that she cooks is better than the next. So Cookie and Kate, great website to refer to if you are looking to incorporate more plants into your meal routine. Daniel Buettner is a New York Times bestselling author. He has written books on the blue zones. For those of you who aren't aware of what the blue zones are, those are areas in the world where people live to be 100 or more. There's a Netflix special on right now, Live to 100, Secrets of the Blue Zones. Areas in the world such as Okinawa, Japan, Sardinia, Italy, and here in the United States of Loma Linda, California, are deemed as blue zones, where people eat lentils, legumes, they're spiritual, they move naturally. So this is a great Netflix series and some great books. Again, the gentleman's name is Daniel Buettner with a B. One of the applications that I recommend my patients consider using is the Lose It application on your phone. For those of you who are really looking to become healthier, to maybe lose some weight. I know we're heading into the holidays. It's a tough time for people. The new year is always a time where people look to make some positive changes. Why wait till then? Start now. The Lose It app is one of those apps that is free. And it allows you to calorie count and track your nutrition. And it's free unless you choose to upgrade. So if you want to track your vitamin and mineral intake, your fluid intake, there is a fee involved, but I've been using it myself now for 5 weeks, and I think it's a great tool and highly recommend it. I am done speaking now. I've covered all my material. I want to thank Sarabeth for her contributions this evening and working with her. She's been great to work with. And I also want to thank Chantel Perigo, the Community Health Education Coordinator here at ECHN. She has been really instrumental in getting this presentation underway, so I'm grateful to both of you.